All right, good, Johnny. How are you today?
Yeah, good, Stu. How are you doing?
Not too bad. How are things?
Yeah, things are good. Busy times, but some positive stuff happening. Finally monetized on YouTube now. So
Ah,
big thank you to
good.
yourself and of course to all the viewers who've come over from your channel to support my own.
Took a while.
Did a year and a half, but we got there.
Yeah, that's one of the big misconceptions about YouTube is that people think that you start making money immediately from YouTube, and it's not the case. No, there's a lot of hours put in there before you even get a cent off the platform. And I don't
Yeah.
know if you made anything yet. Have you got a few euros come in or?
I'm seeing it in like the revenue section of my studio analytics, but nothing official has hit the bank account yet.
No, well, you got to. I think there's a minimum threshold payment or something like that that you have to get to. But
Exactly, yeah.
yeah, it'll come in small quantities. But we're going to talk about that in a minute.
Yeah,
So,
exactly, yeah.
all right. So what's on the agenda, Johnny?
Yeah, so let's start with what's known in Spanish as la excepción ibérica, so the Iberian exception when it comes to the energy price markets.
That's right. Something that was recently approved by the EU.
Yes, exactly. So obviously, we're all aware, those of us who've been living here, of the increasing cost of energy
Yeah.
because of the way the euro market works and carbon emission rights. And for those people who are on the regulated market, those prices fluctuate daily, but have been going up and up and up. The government's tried various things to kind of manage this, including reducing the VAT percentage. And yeah, as you said, they finally gone to the EU together with Portugal. And they've managed to come up with a mechanism to limit the price to 50 euros per megawatt hour. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I mentioned something a few weeks ago. I was reading something today as well, which I'm going to talk about in another video, but it's that a lot of people have like a fixed rate when it comes to electricity, similar to you with your mortgage, right? So
Yeah.
you get an agreement with the electric company or the gas company, and you're not affected by the influxes in the ups and down in prices, right? So I think that's something that a lot of people in Spain have got. But apparently what I was reading was that the government doesn't take that into account when they do their inflation figures. So Portugal's got 5% inflation. Spain has 10% inflation almost, or 9.8 was the max. It went down to 9% maybe last month. Portugal half. And the reason is that Portugal includes in their CPI those people that have got that fixed rate. So they're not affected by the ups and downs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so the people who are on the free market, which is essentially where the energy providers have more control and stability over the pricing.
That's it.
Yeah.
So and apparently the consequences of that is for Spain is are huge. But anyway, we'll talk about it another day. So that's it. The Iberian exception. So the other European countries weren't happy, apparently, because they couldn't see why two countries were allowed to go out on their own. But Spain and Portugal see it necessary, of course, in order to try to keep those electricity costs under control and not be in the same gas market, because Spain doesn't depend on gas like Germany depends on gas, or countries like Poland, those more colder winter countries, because here there's lots of renewables in the mix, right?
Yeah, and the supply is also coming from the south, from the likes of Morocco and Algeria. Yeah,
That's true. But I think Spain's something like 42, 43, maybe even more percentage of renewables in its energy mix, whereas in Germany, I don't know this figure off the top of my head, but 10%, 12%.
Okay, yeah.
So that's one of the reasons as well. So Spain doesn't think it should be paying high prices for the rest of Europe when it comes to gas. So we'll see how we go with this and whether or not inflation does get under control and electricity prices do come down, right?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. But, hopefully things get a bit better, because inflation is quite a challenge. No, I mean, not just in Spain, but everywhere now. But yeah, it's really starting to impact people.
Although the recent word is that Algeria has said that they're going to start to charge Spain a little bit more because of the conflict with Western Sahara.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that as well. But anyway.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
So we've got cash payments of greater than €1,000. So we've discussed it last year. I think it's something that Hacienda has got under the magnifying glass, cash payments, and they introduced a new law regarding this in November last year. So now any cash payments over €1,000 that are made are now met with a fine of 20%, 25% of the amount that the person has tried to pay.
So how does that work? So if you walk into a car dealership and you put 2,000 cash down on the table, obviously that car dealership has to report you for that fine to take place, right?
Exactly, yeah. So this is the other thing. So if someone reports the transaction of more than €1,000 in cash, then they kind of get let off the hook, and it's the other party that takes the fine. Yeah.
So if you dob the other person in,
yeah,
you don't get penalised.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Good. So they're trying to stamp out the black economy, are they?
Yeah. Although it's a good question, they probably have to rely solely on bank movements to capture this, or like an inspection in person.
Yeah.
Because I think otherwise it'd be very difficult to capture this.
What I can't understand is that, so the money that gets put into your bank account every month through your salary, Johnny, you've paid your taxes, you've paid everything you need to pay on that. You go to the ATM, you take out 600 on Tuesday, you take out 600 on Wednesday, and now you're telling me you can't spend that 1,200 without getting a fine. Is that what you're saying?
In theory, if I was to try and pay €1,200 in cash, then in theory, yeah, I would be breaking the law.
So even though that money is clean, it's come out of your bank, you paid your taxes, you've just gone to the ATM twice, bit of an effort, you walk down the street, got your hands dirty on the keyboard, took the money out, you're going to get a fine for using your own cash in Spain.
I suppose so.
So that's the ridiculous, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense. Yeah. Surely you can do what you want with your money, Johnny.
Yeah, I mean, we've always talked about this, like trying to crack down on the underground economy, the secret economy.
Well, but surely there's got to be a way to distinguish between the money that you're taking out of your bank account and the guy who's going around picking up scrap metal in the neighbourhood, obviously, who's probably working in the cash economy, right? There's got to be a way to distinguish between you and other people, right?
You would think so. You'd hope so, but
so when Hacienda does come around to your house saying, Johnny, the 20% fine because you paid 1,200 in cash, and you say, no, but I took that money out of the bank, it's justified.
Yeah, supposedly it doesn't matter.
Well, okay, all right. We won't go into this too much longer, but for me, it just doesn't make sense. I just can't work it out. I can understand that you want to get the drug money out of the system, you want to get the all of that other illegal money out, but a normal citizen like yourself with a salary, Johnny, you should be able to use cash, in my opinion. In my opinion, again. Yeah. All right, girl, what's next?
Yeah, let's move on to tourist apartments and the prices of buying an apartment with a view over the Bernabeu, or a view over the Guggenheim, or a view next to the Sagrada Familia, because there was an article on Cinco Días which outlines the typical price per square meter of these kind of apartments. So in most of these cities, you're looking at around the €5,000 per square meter mark. So in Madrid, in the Bernabeu neighborhood, you're looking at €6,000 even. If you're looking near the Guggenheim in Bilbao, 5,200. Santander, near kind of the river, I think you're looking at 4,600.
Yeah.
Palma de Mallorca, next to the Catedral, you're looking at 4,800. So it's expensive to buy a property in prime location in Spain.
Well, again, why would you want to buy a house next to the Bernabeu Stadium? Every second week, you've got football hooligans in your neighbourhood. You can't even go downstairs without having traffic jams. It would be a nightmare.
Yeah, I do know someone who does live right next to the stadium, and he says whenever Real Madrid score, he knows about it. So
well, of course he does. Of course he does. And all of the rubbish that would be on the ground afterwards. So I mean, I just can't. I mean, okay. So you want to live next to a museum? Okay, fair enough. I can understand that. But again, the Guggenheim must have thousands of people a day in that neighborhood walking past it all the time, or just taking photos of it constantly. Your privacy would be in jeopardy as well.
Yeah, I think based on the Guggenheim's location, because it's kind of on the bank of the river, and then you've got a main road.
Smack bang on the bank. Yeah, but just behind it, there's houses along that road.
Yeah. So
if you were living there, for example, again, there'd be people out the front just taking photos. I mean, again, it'd be like living next to the Buckingham Palace or something,
Yeah, but I think this article, it's more talking about investors that buy these properties as investments for people to use as Airbnbs. Exactly. Good. Still, probably comes with a good return on investment, but that's a very heavy outlay up front. You're gonna have to put.
So if you have a 100 square meter apartment, you're looking at 600,000, right? The prices that you mentioned there.
Yeah.
So a lot of money to live in that area. I used to live not far from the Bernabeu. If you know, Madrid because you lived in Madrid. But that street that goes past the Bernabeu, Concha Espina, when you cross the Castellana, it's called General Perón.
Yes, I do know that.
Keep on going up there, it becomes a street called. I can't remember what it's called, but I lived on the one just next to it. So I could basically walk to the Bernabeu in 5 minutes back in the day. So I know the area reasonably well. But again, even that area where I was, the traffic on game day was horrendous.
Yeah, I also lived very near to the stadium at one point. I was a 15-minute walk away, right next to Bravo Murillo.
Yeah.
And I remember I did go to one game. This was before COVID hit. Match day, it's chaotic.
What was the metro station on Bravo Murillo that you were on?
It was next to Estrecho.
Well, that's where I was as well. I was in a street called Juan de Olias, but it was less than 15 minutes from there, isn't it?
Yeah, you were a couple. Yeah, I was in Calle de Lérida. So.
Oh, okay, that's one of the ones where there was like an industrial area. Was it in there?
I think there must have been, because there was a lot of there was talleres de coche and like air conditioning places.
Yeah, that's right. And the busiest KFC in Madrid is that one that's on the corner of Juan de Olias. Did you know?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that's it.
I don't think I went to that KFC. But,
have you been there? No?
I don't think I've been to that KFC, but I'm probably due a KFC sometime soon.
Well, there's a competitor now called Popeyes.
Oh, don't get me started on Popeyes. This is hands down my favorite. This is hands down my favorite chicken shop in Spain.
It's good. Yeah, Popeyes.
It is definitely good.
Louisiana chicken. That's it.
Yeah.
As opposed to the Kentucky version. All right, good. What's next?
Yeah, and so the final point we have is coming back to our YouTube discussion that we were saying. So there was an article in El Economista.
Yep.
They interviewed several Spanish YouTubers, and they were talking about the difficulties of being a YouTuber in Spain. Yeah. So, I think a lot of people think that YouTubers, live this lavish lifestyle. As you see, a lot of the famous ones are in the US, and they do have a lot of subscribers, a lot of followers, a lot of money. And there are a couple of big ones in Spain, like Ibai. But I don't think, as we've discussed this kind of between you and I before, that the ad revenue in Spain is not necessarily the same as in other countries.
No.
Yeah.
Well, it works out. I compare it to obviously it's not the same, but actors in Hollywood, right? So you've got your George Clooney's, your Brad Pitt's, your Julia Roberts, who are making millions per film, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got thousands and thousands of actors who are waiting on tables in restaurants around the city trying to get their big break, right?
Mm.
And YouTube works in a similar way in that sense that you've got the ones that you see, the high-profile YouTubers, like the people that you just mentioned there, the Ibais and the Rubius and people like that.
Yeah.
People that have gone to live in Andorra because they didn't want to pay high taxes. And those are the guys that, probably per video are getting, 5 million views, 10 million views. So put that into a cash figure. We're talking millions of euros per year revenue coming in for them, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got all of the other people that are doing it, yourself, myself, all of these other people down the end, and the scale just goes down.
Yeah.
So you've got the people at the top that are taking a lot of the cash, and then you go down. And then there's a guy in the States called Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast, who's worked out how to crack. He's cracked the system. He spends $1 million per video or something, but he earns 20.
Yeah.
So there's 19 million euros profit on that, and he just does crazy things, and that's what people want to see. And he's cracked the algorithm, which is basically just keeping people for as long as you can on the platform.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's what he does. Like, he takes people to an electronics store and says, okay, here's a circle, buy as much as you can and put it in this circle, and whatever fits in there you can take home. And and people love that type of stuff,
Yeah.
Or he fills a swimming pool full of cash, and it's unbelievable.
Yeah. Because, I mean, that's what you're talking about there, the YouTube algorithm, yeah. They made changes to it back in 2014, 2015, I think, to make it more about watch time and how long you stay on the platform rather than clicks. And I think that's another point that's brought up in this article, is that some of these Spanish YouTubers have been badly affected because of the changes to the algorithm. Stop recommending their content, or
but again, again, I'll put the movie analogy in place, right? So if you go to the cinema, the idea is they want to keep you in the cinema for 2 hours. If you walk out of the cinema after 20 minutes, it's a crap film, right? So the same so the same thing happens on YouTube. I mean, you put out a 10-minute video and somebody only watches it for 30 seconds, then obviously you're not going to get any reward for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you put out a video for 10 minutes and people watch it for 6, 7, 8 minutes, which is what is fairly good ratio, that's when obviously you start to get a bit of a reward.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the good thing about YouTube, the positive thing, is that they give you the analytics, Johnny, as you know, where you can see where people stay and where people click off. So you can try to work it out,
Yeah.
That's it.
Bit of trial and error, but you do get there, yeah.
That's it. It's not easy. All right, good. Johnny, anything else?
That was all for today, Stu.
All right, fantastic. Good chatting to you as always, and we'll see you again soon.
Likewise. Speak to you later.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.